With us, Fort Smith attorney, champion of liberty, Mr. Joey McCutchen is back with us. Joey, how are things up in Fort Smith?
Well, morning. Hey, things are, I don't know. They're not transparent in Fort Smith, that's for sure.
That's true. No doubt. I'm looking at these headlines here, and I know you've been on the program and you've talked about this before, but we, the show's now in a new time slot, on different affiliates, and so feel free to tell, kind of refresh everybody. This involves an FOIA lawsuit. You're involved in it against the city of Fort Smith because they've basically been sending each other emails, conducting the public's business via email and not in the open. Is that right?
That's right, Paul. It really starts before that, though. We had the same issue come up with the school board. I had FOI'd some documents, found out that they had elected the school board by this string of emails. Judge Tabor promptly granted a summary judgment telling the school board that they had violated FOIA and that not to let it happen again. Well, within several months' time, I get some documents from the city of Fort Smith and learn that they are conducting business the same way without giving notice to the public. There was a civil service commission issue that had come up, highly volatile, involving our police chief and the selection of external applicants. Long story short, they were discussing and voting by way of email discussions that the public had no notice of. Judge Mike Fitzhugh recently, January 4th, granted summary judgment for my client, Bruce Wade, and told the city that they had violated FOIA and not to let it happen again. But the problem is this isn't the first time this has come up. Fort Smith started a long string of cases back in, the early 2000s with the Harris case. I sued them personally, and the court told them, one of their things that they're claiming is that this is not a meeting. The court told them back in 2012, look, if you don't think this is a meeting, then go to the legislature. So, long story short, the city's looking at appealing this, and in fact, before they even had a meeting for the board of directors to decide whether they would appeal, the city administrator unilaterally says they're appealing. And I got a question. Under what authority does he have to waste taxpayer dollars like that without talking to the board? Or did they have another secret meeting and they knew exactly what they were doing?
So what you're saying right now, the city administrator, his name is Carl Gefkin. You're saying that they basically lose, right? There's a judgment against them, and they're saying that they're going to appeal. Is that right, or am I getting anything wrong here?
That's right. They lose. The court sends an order, and the judge says judge grants our summary judgment, says they violated FOIA. Judge also says, Mr. McCutchen, your client, send us how much your client has in attorney fees. So what I do is I say, I tell the city, look, I will waive the attorney fees, which could be up to $50,000, $100,000 eventually. I'll waive all the attorney fees if you don't appeal. And before they even consider that issue, they're saying they're appealing, which is it's just crazy.
Wow. I see here today in FortSmith.com, already out a reported $31,000 in legal fees paid to the city's law firm of Daly and Wood. The decision by Gefkin is sure to run those figures even higher. So is it just, what do you think? I mean, he just doesn't want to admit that they've been conducting business, in a way that's not above board here, or is there something else going on?
I think we know what happened is when this happened, a citizen went to the prosecutor, as well as I did eventually, and the prosecutor said this is illegal. But that wasn't before that the city administrator and several board members were interviewed because it's criminal violation. So they were interviewed by the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office, and it was pretty clear. I got a copy of that interview, and Mr. Gefkin is hostile to I think he called he had some derogatory name for the Freedom of Information Act, acting like people like myself are just abusing the Freedom of Information Act, that I should be held in contempt. That's kind of the tone that not only him but several of the city administrators are taking. And all I want them to do is discuss what they're discussing in secret email chains in public at their meeting. Now, here's something else that Director Law has come up with. He said to Talk Business the other day that he's going to create, that the city is busily creating a repository for emails. Well, that's fine, but that doesn't solve their FOIA problems, because unless I'm getting those emails in real time and we have notice of those emails, that's not solving his problem. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy. I mean,
can you give our listeners an example of what is it specifically they were discussing? I'm sure it's more than one thing that the public needed to be made aware of or should have been made aware of.
Yeah, well, they were trying to dismantle they were trying to, a couple of the directors, Andre Good leading the charge, he has a close relationship with our new police chief. He was trying to give the police chief the power to hire external applicants, and the FOP was totally against that, and so that he was discussing that business on these email chains, with the other directors. First it was Lorenz, and then it spilled over to Keith Law. So once they got caught red-handed with that, and I sued them, I said, again, this is the second time recently that I've said, hey, I'll waive the attorney fees if you just don't appeal. So after we got into this, again, attorney fees are mounting up. I told them early on, I said, look, you're wrong. Look at Judge Tabor's opinion that he granted in the school board case. I mean, it was on all fours with that case. So long story short, I sent them a letter, and I said, I'll waive attorney fees up at this point. All you have to do is admit you did wrong and don't do it again.
Yes.
And danged if they didn't have another secret email meeting. I FOIA'd the document, and they had another secret email meeting. So Judge Fitzhugh said, not only did you violate FOIA when you were discussing the civil service, you also violated FOIA when you're even discussing this settlement offer. It's just arrogant.
Wow.
And they've been grinding this axe for years now. They don't want to accept that the Supreme Court has decided email issues, that the Attorney General has. Robert Steinbuck has weighed in on this matter, clearly says that this is a violation of FOIA. 2 circuit judges in Fort Smith now, and the prosecutor on 2 separate occasions. So there's only one lawyer that wants to fight this battle and waste the taxpayers' money, and that's the one who's getting paid literally he'll make $100,000 on this. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think that's right. Number one, I think we need to look at the way we're doing business in these cities. Hire somebody. I could go out and find you 10 lawyers who would take this entire case for the money they've already spent. But we're going to pay our city attorney close to $100,000 if this goes forward. Not to mention what they're going to end up paying me. I've never collected 1 penny, Paul, for attorney fees, because it's not about attorney fees. It's about open government and doing the right thing and understanding that if we don't have open government, our republic is and frankly, hopefully there's some legislators listening. After 2018, I'm going to suggest, after the November 2018, I'm going to suggest that we either pass an initiative, or legislators, if they have the guts to do it, where they have to do their business transparently also, that they can't have all these secret meetings where the public doesn't understand why all this legislation's getting passed. Mm-hmm. And so I think FOIA ought to apply to state legislators also.
Oh, I do too, and of course, their email correspondence, stuff like that, it doesn't, and so that's that's a very good thing. They would obviously be against that because it would, in their minds, weaken the stat. It would threaten the status quo. It would threaten actual real change and real transparency. Most of them, unfortunately, they go down there. They don't even want their votes recorded. They go down there trying to go on record the least amount of times possible. It's pretty frustrating. So we're talking with Joey McCutchen. He's a Fort Smith attorney. He's definitely a huge fan of our great FOIA, Law Freedom of Information Act. Can we real quick, Carl Gefkin, so this city administrator of Fort Smith, I guess the city of Fort Smith's been in the news a whole lot last year. I mean, it was in the news a lot, not just with this FOIA stuff, but also concerning the General Improvement Fund grant that, Jake Files gave the city of Fort Smith to then give one of his employees. And, you can find quotes of this, city administrator, Carl Gefkin, talking about, hey, I didn't realize, it seems to say he didn't really realize what was going on at the time. So, I mean, is there more stuff to discover about what's really going on within the inner workings of the city of Fort Smith? It seems like that there is, especially if you go and you read that FBI affidavit, for a search warrant against Senator Jake Files.
Yeah, there clearly is. This River Valley Sports Complex, there were multiple transgressions by the former city administrator. We've got a deputy city administrator, Jeff Dingman, who is right. He's been involved in all these decisions. They gave Jake Files this sweetheart deal on this River Valley Sports Complex. He ended up stealing money from our General Improvement Fund. But these same directors were a part of that. And they cut a sweetheart deal with him, did not make him get insurance. And we're seeing that there's a bulldozer company who's made $300,000. The city's looking at that. What are they going to do on that? But, Jake Files on this, by the way, on a new point, FBI, as early as last week, was interviewing witnesses regarding this stolen gift money, this $20,000 that was stolen. So, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Really?
The senator's going to be prosecuted, in my opinion. I guess the FBI can do what they want to, but they're still looking at it. Not only did Jake Files do that, he took $80,000 from Michael Morton's associate, David Norsworthy.
Yep.
In my opinion, to attack our Seventh Amendment rights and to put a price tag on the value of human life. That's what they call tort reform. Mm-hmm. This most recent, it just seems like there's an attack on anything that holds government accountable. That is FOIA and our right to trial by jury are both under attack.
Yeah.
Things that our founders knew, between transparency, the right to trial by jury. I mean, look, our founders wrote about the right to trial by jury in the Declaration of Independence, and they knew how important that was to hold the king accountable. And now we've got special interests in Little Rock cutting deals with legislators to set a $500,000 price tag on the value of human life. I mean, that's just.
Last question: are you surprised that the Republican Party of Arkansas and Asa Hutchinson himself have not asked for Jake Files to resign? I mean, he's still the chair of the Revenue and Taxation Committee.
Well, yes. I mean, I've been very vocal about that he has lost trust. I can't. He's my state senator. I can't call him. He won't return my phone calls because he knows I'm going to ask him tough questions. And we're effectively disenfranchised. Of course, they want to play their games, and they've got Matt Pitch all in the wings out here, ready to take his position. The morning that Jake Files said he wasn't running again, Matt Pitch announced.
Yeah.
I mean,
well. So you guys are the city of Fort Smith, that district, it's really at a disadvantage because the fiscal session's coming up, and you guys really, because he hasn't resigned, you guys are disenfranchised. You know what I mean? A guy, I mean, if you go down the list, the financial troubles that he has alone, the potential political vulnerability, or you know, everything he would advocate for could easily be tied back to the situation he's in. And so it's just it's really sad for the citizens of Fort Smith not to have adequate representation right now. So
it really is.
All right. Anyway, Joey McCutchen, Fort Smith attorney, I appreciate it very much, sir. And we will do it again soon, okay?
I appreciate you having me on. Have a great day, Paul.
All right. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
You have a great day, great weekend, folks. It's Johnny Cash Friday. Back in just a moment.
Animosity prevails.